The bittersweet taste of nostalgia again in my lungs, heart and mind. It is so often now that I'm starting to fright it will devolve into melancholy, but maybe not. As I often remind myself when seeing and experiencing the products of long past times like cars and games, they were not built better, they were not more sturdy. They were just products of their times, just like modern things are just products of modern times. Of course, don't get me wrong, each period of time produces timeless things that will always be good, just because of their timeless values that were shining through on the design and production levels. It's not all what it seems, and I know I'm talking in unclear manner now, but I will try to shine some light on what I mean. Let me tell you a story as old as civilization itself. In my early 20s, I met men approximately my age. It was not during some party or vacation time, but instead, like in case of many video games enjoyers, it was inside the title well known for the last 2 decades, namely World of Warcraft. We played both PvP and PvE together, and we became as good friends as any 2 random guys living hundreds and hundreds of miles away from each other could become. We met several times in real life by now. For the purpose of this story, we're gonna use one of his pseudonyms, but I call him by most of the time anyways. Zachary or Zach it is. Even though his real name has to do more with warrior, and funny thing, he was playing warrior class in WoW when I met him. So what does it have to do with the newest Space Marine game, you might ask? Funny thing, it has everything to do with it, and let me tell you exactly why. So me and Zach met in our early 20s, when we both had ended long-term relationships with women. We were working only part-time for not very good wages, so all things considered you might think it was not great times. But actually it was, because we had so much time to enjoy our hobby of video games that it seemed like we had it in abundance. But we could continue like this forever if we balanced other aspects of life just enough to survive. But as most of you know, it was just a pipe dream. Still, we played so many multiplayer games together, cooperating and fighting alongside each other, that we became battle brothers. So you can by now maybe start seeing what I'm getting at. Nowadays it all looks very different. We now, instead of dozens and dozens of hours spent together on Discord every month, maybe spend several, just a few. It's all fine, because we are both very busy with our lives outside of virtual world. And even when we have time to play video games, it is almost always not the same time. This all seems kinda sad, but it is really not, because I know what a good life he has now. So I am really glad that he is busy with things that have meaning for him and his loved ones. But lately, we met again for several hours each evening to play the game I'm reviewing in this episode of Great Late Reviews. To feel like in old times, when we fought on the battlefields of virtual worlds. We both played the first Space Marine game, and we enjoyed it greatly, although Zach remembers events and story in it way better than me. To tell you the truth, even though I watch many YouTube videos about 40k lore, I am a total noob compared to my friend, which has unbelievable knowledge in this regard. But that doesn't matter today. What matters is that we once more could be true battle brothers, fighting with honor, protecting the galaxy from the well-known threats, for the Emperor! Funny thing, isn't it? The story of this game is very similar to ours. Men that meet driven by the common goal, loyalty and honor. Still, in case of Titus and his comrades, it is Mortal Kombat and not leisure time entertainment, of course. We learn about Titus's fate as we follow missions of the main campaign. It is not some very complicated, full of plot twist story, but a really simple one, told in the same manner. It is good, very good even, but still it is not something we're gonna be talking about with passion 10 years from now. It has its epic moments and some more mundane ones. It is told in the space of 8 days, in form of what one could name special military operation. We got to know some other characters along the way, from which many like Titus himself are heroes of Empire. But still, even when they are heavily modified and trained killing machines for the benefit of humankind, they still have a free will and weaknesses. So even when they're testosterone-fueled manly men, they still appear very humane at times. I am very glad it is shown like that. To balance it all out, in operations outside of the main campaign, most of the dialogue consists of breaking balls and teasing between ultramarines, so yeah, I enjoyed the plot of the game. Even though I don't remember much of the first game, one thing I know for sure, the gameplay was so good that I could not wait for another session with it, until the moment of rolling credits. Here the situation is very similar, combat being very fluid and pleasant to say the least. It is so satisfying when you cut through the hordes of lesser enemies, or when you finally bring down one of the big guys. Both ranged and melee weapons are great, nothing to whine about here really. Me and Zach had different favorites, so it speaks volumes about diversity and balancing of weaponry. Okay, there is one thing that I could criticize in a negative way. Control scheme feels kinda too much like it was made with consoles in mind first. We got used to it very quickly, so it was not a big deal, but I would prefer it a little bit more suited for mouse and keyboard, that's all, no big deal. So what about the gameplay outside of combat? You can pick up ammo packs, medkits and data slates between fights, and that's all. No logic puzzles, no bullcrap game mechanics, just pure unadulterated warfighting. Begone heretics! You know what? As I'm writing this review, I'm thinking to myself, let's make it short and good, just like the game itself is. And you know what? I agree with myself on this one, because I could prolong it by telling you about the stuff that actually doesn't even matter. So let's get into the technical side of things, and later I will sum up my thoughts in a short and mindful outro. Okay, the game looks awesome and amazing. Of course, there are a few details in visual presentation that could use some altering, but I'm not gonna tire you with them, cause maybe you will not even notice. As my friend told me during our game session, almost no one focuses on such things like you, Jim. And well, he's right in that regard. To add to the good things, performance is really good. We are not getting hundreds of frames per second here, but on the other hand, the game has very stable 1% lows without any major dips, so it all feels very fluid throughout. Someone did a very good job making it all play out like this. Another thing is that it is the first title in which, from all of the upscaling and anti-aliasing methods, FSR2 looks and performs the best, and Zachary tells me that FSR3 is planned for the future patches, so I'm gonna need to check out that as well. Sound design is really well done here. Sounds, voices and music all come together to build believable 40k experience alongside with visuals. It is a honey for my senses, my heart, mind and soul. Great job indeed. From some worse news, I heard there were some nasty glitches and bugs for some people. I played since day one, not very early access mind you, but on a normal schedule, and I can report some minor ones like screen flickering in some scenes, using some graphic settings combinations, and that's pretty much it, cause I'm not counting some funny physics catapulting dead bodies into the sky. Okay, once I fell through the floor in the base of operations and had to restart the game. And one time I had some latency issues cause me and Zach connected through stream invite instead of inputting invite code inside the game. So that was rather on the Steam side of things. Other than that, the game was in pretty good shape on the launch day. At least, better than most titles I played so close to the release date. We got through all that you need to know. Rest you'll need to find out for yourself. But still, I'm gonna tell you what I think about the whole affair. Before that, however, one sour note. The game had 4 days of head start for the players who bought more expensive editions. Me being me, bought the cheapest edition of course, but my friend Zachary went for the higher tier. I kinda held it against him, since I am always of the mind, even if you wanna reward the developers and publishers for good work, do not do it preemptively and in the way that reinforces anti-consumer behaviors. Other than that, I think the game is awesome. Very manly and mature piece of entertainment. It is a good marriage of classical simplicity with good modern elements, like adding some minor progression systems after you finish the main campaign. I am really happy that we got what we expected this time around. Solid game that will go into the history as one of the examples that good games do not need any cultural appropriations. That they can be simple, violent and good, while at the same time promoting timeless values like loyalty, brotherhood, honor, sacrifice in the name of protecting humankind. I think young people need titles like this more than ever, so it can shine through all the bullcrap they do encounter on social media on a daily basis these days. For I will do my part in these boomer videos of mine to promote honesty and integrity as a reviewer, commentator, creator, thinker, and most of all, as a human. So, with that pathos out of the way, as always, I will see you in the next Great Late Review. Emperor protects.